What I do have a problem with, and I've always had this problem, is the time between innings, where when I first started, there was no time between innings. You got out there and you pitched, and you were ready to go. So it was about the early '80s. They decided to put in the time between innings at 1 minute and 40 seconds, and we had four pitchers that complained about it. One of them was Steve Carlton. One of them was Tom Seaver. One of them was Randy Jones, and I forget who the fourth one was. But they complained that 1 minute and 40 seconds between innings for commercial times was too long, that they'd be waiting on the mound when it was time to play. Then they went to 2 minutes and 5 seconds, and then about 16 or 17 pitchers complained that it was too long. And now, especially in the playoffs, it's almost 3 minutes between innings. So the idea of speeding up the game, making you get in the box and doing this, that, and the other, we're wasting probably 18 minutes doing TV commercials. So they haven't addressed the real problem, which is the media. And I don't mean the media itself. I mean the commercial time between innings. And I remember in the middle '80s, there was this thing that the Mets used to do where they had the walk-up music. And they wouldn't leave the on-deck circle until they'd played their walk-up music. And it was almost like they were auditioning for a Broadway play. And that became the thing to do, was to wait till your walk-up music was. And that slows down the game.
Quit complaining. Hey, quit complaining, because those damn commercials paid your fat-ass salary that you got for 40 years. So I don't want to hear you complain about the walk-up music, the time between. Because listen, if there was no commercials, you'd be playing golf, not at Bella Collina, you'd be at Diamond Players Club still. So don't give me that crap about it took too long.
Listen, all the money you made, all the money you stole from the White Sox. And you're talking about the money that an umpire made? It's hard for young umpires to hold their emotions when they think they're right and they think the player's wrong. So it's a learning process. I'll never forget, the best piece of advice I ever got was from an old umpire named Doug Harvey. And he said, don't let them ruin your day. He said, you're doing a good job. And in your worst day, your percentages are going to be better than the players at what you're doing. He said, so if they do something to get out of line, you kick them out. And if they do, he said, don't put up with it. He said, but don't let them ruin your day. Don't get mad. And that was the greatest piece of advice I ever got.
What's your best story? I want to hear Joe West's best story.
Well, my best story would be about a situation from a golf tournament. And this is from an old ball player named Ryan Klesko. You remember him?
I do,
oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, we invited Ryan Klesko to the Country Golf Classic at Doral Country Club. And it was a classic because we had Mickey Gilley, we had Boxcar Willie, we had Rick Serrate from White Snake, we had Charlie Harrison from Wings, we had Les Dudak from the Allman Brothers, and it was a great golf tournament. They actually had a band the night before. Anyway, and Klesko's running around to all these famous people getting them to autograph his hat. So the baseball season comes about, and then at the end of the year, I get this phone call, and I don't recognize the number. For some reason, I picked it up, and he says, Joe, yeah, Ryan Klesko. Oh, how you doing? He says, I want to take you pheasant hunting. I said, you want to take me pheasant hunting? That's cool. I've never been pheasant hunting. I've been duck hunting, deer hunting, bear hunting, but I've never been pheasant hunting. He says, yeah, there's about 12 of us going to go. I got this place outside of Atlanta. And I said, wait a minute. What 12? And he named off 12 major league ball players. I said, let me get this straight. You want me to walk out in the open field with 12 ball players with shotguns? Have you lost your mind?
I was one of them, by the way. I was one of them.
We had a ball player named Milton Bradley one time.
Yeah.
He played, I remember him with the Dodgers. And he'd gotten kicked out about 4 times that year. And Peter Gammons made a statement to the press that we were baiting him. And so I called Peter Gammons. I said, Peter, you can't bait him. If he was a fish, he'd jump in the boat. And I mean, he was that high strung. Adrian Beltre. He used to complain about every pitch, but he was kidding. He'd be at third base and the ball would bounce, and he'd say, "That ball looks like a strike." And then he'd be batting, the ball would be right down the middle. You call it a strike. He said, "That's outside." But he was kidding. He would say it didn't matter what you called, it was quite the opposite. And one day I told him, I said, you're a very good ball player, but you are a horse shit umpire.
That's amazing. I love it.